Welcome back to the Bootleg Corner movie review hours once again, and this time it is DC's Watchmen Chapter 1 on the menu. Now, a lot of us are familiar with the Watchmen and some of us are not, but their popularity pales in comparison to the Justice League, and it may or may not be a bold claim to say that they are the second most popular group, because there are also the Teen Titans and some other subgroups. But when it comes to power scaling, they are certainly not pushovers because of Dr. Manhattan, who cancels out most other heroes quite easily. The Watchmen haven't really been on DC's radar for a while, since the first movie. I know there was a Watchmen series, but I didn't really watch that, and I'm not sure that a lot of people did. But coming into this, I thought this was going to be a series, but it ended up as a serial movie with part 1 this year and part 2 most likely coming next year. But moving on, the Watchmen universe opens up with a murder. A superhero who works for the government has been killed, and I say superhero for lack of a better word, because it seems in this universe the heroes are no better than the villains they claim to fight. The dead hero is the comedian. He's beaten up and thrown down several floors to his death. The police are unwilling to investigate the murder any further, and that is where Rorschach steps in. Now, among these heroes, it seems he is the only one who has any form of strict moral code and commitment to the cause, but he is also a dangerous outlaw. He follows no rules or ethics except his own. He's brilliant but hot-tempered and impatient, and that is what makes his good qualities sink below his personality. Rorschach rebels not just against crime, but against humanity, the base nature of it, the simple traditions that govern it. He sees filth all around human existence. It is no wonder why he ignores normalcy in totality. He keeps no schedule or routine. He walks into wherever he wants without following orders, and he breaks into houses routinely without bothering to hide his presence. He's the kind of guy you report a crime to, and he will beat you up first for letting it happen to you before chasing after the criminal. Like we see this place here, he's asking questions about the comedian's murder, and he breaks this guy's fingers while questioning the people in the bar. I mean, how can you differentiate between the good guy and the bad guy when the good guy is going to beat you up as much as the villain is going to do? So it is no surprise that when the King Act is passed, it is passed with popular support to put an end to superheroes. But one thing is clear with these guys: with the exception of Dr. Manhattan, they do not really have any superpowers. A lot of them are just intelligent in some cases, supremely trained, and nothing else except a commitment to justice, and even that is not true across board, because we see with the comedian in flashbacks that show him to be a conceited, reckless, and evil man who is somehow a superhero in this dark, twisted world of the Watchmen's universe. Dr. Manhattan is a strange one. He has no moral compass, yet stays mostly unproblematic. He has no need for wars or conflict, no realistic restrictions on his abilities, and yet he chooses to fight for the US in Vietnam when they have no business being there. He's supposed to be a hero, and yet he watches the comedian kill a pregnant Vietnamese woman carrying his child and does nothing after the fact. He seems disconnected from humanity and yet wants to be a part of it. He perceives things at the molecular level, looking at the components of a whole rather than the qualities of the whole itself. That is why he sees no difference between a living human and a dead one, and why he has no problem cheating on his girlfriend, because the feelings do not matter to him, only the act does. So he's complicated and uncomplicated at the same time. From what I've seen, his main goal is to understand the universe. Past that, everything else is just another bump in the road. And that's why when he gets questions from the media about causing the deaths of his friends, he makes the decision to leave Earth. He has seen time from the beginning to the end, and he knows it is just a long, slow march to his conclusion. But getting back to this story, Rorschach believes there's a bounty on the masked heroes and goes to warn them all. And it is at this point I begin to feel a sense of deja vu. When Ozymandias gets attacked by an assassin who shoots his secretary first before turning the gun on him, who is supposed to be the main target, then I realized what this movie is. Ozymandias beats up his attacker, questioning him on who made the contract, and then, in a clever sleight of hand, slips a cyanide pill into his mouth while screaming that the attacker already has a cyanide pill in his mouth. All these are parts of Ozymandias' plan to eliminate himself from the group of suspects killing superheroes. And it is at this point I can confirm that this is merely an animated rerun of the Watchmen movie. I don't know why it did not hit me within the first 10 to 30 minutes, but it is all good now. DC have just played the same cards for a second time. Barring any twists or turns they didn't include in the first movie, which was released in 2009, then this is just a case of microwaving an old meal for the audience, or as we Nigerians would say, warming old eba. Now, don't get me wrong, it is still a brilliant story, animated properly, and the graphics remind me of Marvel's What If series, so maybe it's the same animation company that styled it. But as far as creativity and innovation in the storyline, I mean, come on, we have seen this before. Ozymandias takes out most of the superheroes because he has a plan to blow up the world and reset it. Rorschach and a couple of other heroes come to stop him, but they fail to do so, and when Dr. Manhattan arrives, some way, somehow, he sides with Ozymandias, and that just cements the issue because, after all, Dr. Manhattan is one of the most powerful characters, not just in this story, but in the entire DC universe. So, as a review, is this a brilliant story? Absolutely. Is it one I want to see? I do not think so, and that's why I thought this was going to be a series with a different storyline than the movies. I mean, for them to bring this back, this cannot be the only Watchmen story there is. There are multiple comics to adapt from, and to bring this back for an animated rerun, to me that just smacks of laziness. Just throwing out an old respected IP for the audience to avoid them packing up and leaving. Now, if this is supposed to be part of a new DC with more storylines different from what we've already seen, then fine and good. But if this is just a means to keep the audience occupied without any follow-up, then that is just abominable. Chapter 2 of this story is slated to air in 2025, and that's just sad because I don't think there's anything special that they've done in Chapter 1 that warrants a long break between releases. This is an old story we've seen before. It is not groundbreaking anymore. It's like a childhood cartoon we want to watch to relive those moments, but to crack it in half and act like it is something new from the audience, DC must not have been thinking properly. And that's what makes my review a conflicting one. This is a brilliant story in its own right, but at this moment in time, it is quite a letdown and disappointing, and I cannot understand the decisions behind this release. So how can a story be a 10 over 10 and yet be so underwhelming? The truth lies somewhere in the middle, and I don't think I'm equipped to find it. Well, that's a wrap on this review. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. This is still the Bootleg Corner, movie reviews, recommendations, and general film commentary. Keep it locked in, and I'll be back.